Hello, this is Doofus K. Welcome to my Let's Play Farming Giant series. I've had some issues actually making this series. This is the third time I started this, and believe it or not, it's actually not because it's been crashing. It's because I'm stupid. So good times there. So the first time I made the videos, and the videos were way too dark, and we'll probably run into that now. So the first 4 episodes, you could hardly even see what I was doing. The second episode I made, I screwed up, and I ended up running out of money, and so it was sort of pointless. So I think what we're going to do is just start over here and do it correctly right from the get-go. So we're going to start a new game, a new campaign. I was already playing a game, that's why it gave me that message. So, let's see, is it super dark? Oh, no, it's not. Excellent. So this is exactly where you start every time you load the game. And you start with, in a new game, you start with $1 million. No land, no vehicles, no nothing, just $1,000,000. And so the first thing you need to do is pick out where you want to be. So the interface isn't super confusing, but there is a lot of stuff going on down here. So the first thing you want to do is open up, this is the global map. Now I believe this little doodah is where you are looking at right now. So, you know, there's tons of places that you can be here. I tend to go up here by Berlin, just because there's this huge area here. However, you know, there's this huge area here, here, I mean everywhere, so it really doesn't matter where you start. I mean, when it comes down to it, it really doesn't. You obviously probably don't want to be over here because it's going to take you forever to drive your stuff places. And eventually you will end up with essentially like a little satellite farm, you know, maybe at each one of these cities. And these cities do grow. If you feed them these things, they will grow. So that's kind of cool. So the first thing we need to do is buy land. And you do this with this land tool right down here. I have my little notes, so I'm trying to follow them. Yeah, pick a location. Yep, that's what we're doing. Okay, so you need to buy land. Now, I have $1 million, and I know that isn't a lot. But even still, I'm going to hit the land pretty hard here because we need quite a bit of it. So that's 150 grand. That's a pretty good chunk to begin with. And then it's a little hard to tell, but it is shaded differently. So this means that we can build stuff in here. The other thing that we need is roads. Now, I've played this map before, so I'm going to make a road just like this. And as you can see, you can build it, you know, it doesn't have to be your land. It just can't be through the red part. So we're going to do like that. As you can see, it's 50 grand, so we might not actually do that. We'll actually make this sort of a little more square than I'm usually making things here. And then we're going to make like a little frontage road here too. So this means we can build buildings on this road here. So that's a pretty good place to start. So the first thing we need is a main building. And as you can see, it's 125,000, and you do unlock bigger and better ones. It's all about worker capacity, so it starts with you only have the capacity to have 8 workers at a time. Now you can build more buildings, but for now you only start with this one. And I'm rotating it with holding shift and then moving the mouse scroll wheel. Now I have one of the weightless, you know, frictionless ones, so it just twirls around like that. But so that's how you rotate it. And obviously if the building blinks red, you can't build that building there, but if it blinks green, then you're good to go. So these things do need road access, but they don't like serve a purpose necessarily other than for holding workers. So you can kind of put them like I did, kind of in the corner. Okay, so we have workers, or the capability to have workers, so now we need a place to put our stuff. And we're going to do this, a garage. These have a little more restrictions about where they can be. So they can't be quite as close to the road as some of the other things, but... Oops. And then all these buildings need road access. And then the third thing we need is animals. And that's where I made a critical error at this point. I started with chickens, and I really should not have. I made a gamble about starting with chickens, and it was a poor decision. Chickens, you either need corn or wheat to feed, and they don't eat a lot, but they don't really reproduce. They reproduce quickly, but not quickly enough. And the main thing is that you don't get a lot of money out of them. And so what we're looking for is to make a lot of money to begin with. So keep in mind that I have time paused here. That's why these are blinking like that. I don't know of an undo button. So if you screw up in this, it's pretty much sucks to be you, unfortunately. So as far as cows go, they're so much simpler. However, they are more expensive. So what we want is a cow buyer. And same thing with this, we want to do road access. Get it as, well, yeah, like right there is fine. Now that mooing sound is super annoying, but it is a lot better than what it used to be. So, in fact, I think I can turn it down. I think that's ambient. Turn that down too. That's much better. Before, it was like super loud and I couldn't even hear myself, practically. So, alright, so we got workers. Cow buyer. You notice how it says workers 0 out of 3. We can only have 8 workers in here total, and you don't want to be spending a lot of money on building 2 main buildings right away. So you can actually drastically overextend yourself. So then the third thing we need is a field. And this is as simple as just clicking the button, and then it gives you this little square. And then you can drag the corners. Now, obviously, I did a crap job making this property, but, so that's a pretty good size field, and if you notice down here, it tells you the size in square meters, and then how much it costs. Now, obviously, it doesn't cost much to make the outline. So that's a pretty good size field to start with. And then, just like everything else, you need road access for it. Just like that. Don't worry about the road in the middle, it doesn't matter. We'll go over that kind of stuff later. I'm going to make this a fairly short video, just to give you kind of the, this is what you need to make a basic starting farm. So I just hit the play button, and we're going to let stuff build. And then I'll probably actually end the video there, because once you have this first thing set up, it gets way more complicated very quickly. So the name of this game is Leveling Up, and that's what animals have to do with. As you can see, we're level 0. The next level requires us to harvest 1,000 liters of whatever. In our case, it's going to be grass, and grass does count. It is a crop, so that's fine. And we will never, with harvesting grass for cows, you'll never run out of, you'll never have a problem with that. Eventually these numbers do get ridiculous. Like, I know one of the things that's like, 100,000 liters. By the time you get to that level, though, you're harvesting some pretty honking huge fields. Not too shortly from now, we're going to have expanded into this area here, so, but this is a very good start. So, I guess this is a really short episode now, so I'll cover buying equipment. So you do get a better yield, and they do model yield. As you can see, there's the pH level, and then the sparkly star thing is actually the nutrient content. And then the third thing is the moisture level, or humidity is what they call it. So they do model yield, and you can have low yield, if your fields flood. They do model things like hail. Those are sort of random events, but for the case of this, grass will grow on this field if you don't do anything to it, but the yield will be crap. So what we want to do is buy a tractor. So you click on the garage, and then click on buy equipment, or the tractor. So we need a tractor, and we might as well get a truck for the animals, because we're going to need it. We don't need any of these things. The mistake that I made last time was I took out a loan to buy a harvester. Bad idea. Wait to do this kind of stuff until you actually have the money to do it, because taking a loan out right away, I mean, the loan payment is like 100 grand a month, and it's going to be super difficult to do that. So as far as extensions go, we need a plow and a cultivator. We're not going to worry about a manure spreader yet, because we're going to be spending quite a bit of money on just this. And then we need a grass harvester to actually harvest that. A manure spreader will enable you to get the nutrient content back up, and then the sprayer will enable you to get the pH level where it needs to be, but we're not going to cover that right now. There are many, many, many episodes involved in this game because there is a lot of crap going on. So, in fact, I proved that myself because I sucked pretty hardcore, and I lost the game during my Let's Play video. So that's pretty great. Maybe in the future I'll put that video up just so you can see what kind of disaster I caused. So we have equipment, we have the ability to have workers, and we have a cow buyer. I think that's a pretty good episode to begin with. This is, the very, very basics of what you need to get started. I'm sure there are other options. They are probably, you can do all sorts of different shopping, in here to get prices for different equipment to get them cheaper, but for the sake of this video, I think this is about as basic as you can get. So, I think we're going to call it an episode, and the next episode I will go into more detail about kind of how to get this stuff going, and how to make money, more importantly. So, I think that's the first episode. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Leave comments, please.